The Herero and Namaqua genocide or the Herero and Nama genocide was the first genocide of the 20th century, waged by the German Empire against the Herero, the Nama, and the San in German Southwest Africa. It occurred between 1904 and 1908. In January 1904, the Herero people, who were led by Samuel Maharero, and the Nama people, who were led by Captain Hendrik Witbooi, rebelled against German colonial rule. On January 12, they massacred more than 100 German men in the area of Okahanja, though sparing women and children. In August, German General Lothar von Trotha defeated the Owerero in the Battle of Waterberg and drove them into the desert of Omaheke, where most of them died of dehydration. In October, the Nama people also rebelled against the Germans, only to suffer a similar fate. Between 24,000 and 100,000 Hereros, 10,000 Nama and an unknown number of San died in the genocide. The first phase of the genocide was characterized by widespread death from starvation and dehydration, due to the prevention of the Herero from leaving the Namib Desert by German forces. Once defeated, thousands of Hereros and Namas were imprisoned in concentration camps, where the majority died of diseases, abuse, and exhaustion. In 1985, the United Nations Whitaker Report classified the aftermath as an attempt to exterminate the Herero and Nama peoples of Southwest Africa, and therefore one of the earliest attempts at genocide in the 20th century. In 2004, the German government recognized and apologized for the events, but ruled out financial compensation for the victims' descendants. In July 2015, the German government and the Speaker of the Bundestag officially called the events a genocide. However, it refused to consider reparations at that time. Despite this, the last batch of skulls and other remains of slaughtered tribesmen which were taken to Germany to promote racial superiority were taken back to Namibia in 2018, with Petra Boss-Huber, a German Protestant bishop, describing the event as the first genocide of the 20th century. In May 2021, the German government agreed to pay €1.1 billion, over 30 years, to fund projects in communities that were impacted by the genocide. The original inhabitants of what is now Namibia were the San and the Koko Herero, who speak a Bantu language, were originally a group of cattle herders who migrated into what is now Namibia during the mid-18th century. The Herero seized vast swaths of the arable upper plateaus which were ideal for cattle grazing. Agricultural duties, which were minimal, were assigned to enslaved Khoisan and Bushmen. Over the rest of the 18th century, the Herero slowly drove the Khoisan into the dry, rugged hills to the south and east. The Hereros were a pastoral people whose entire way of life centered on their cattle. The Herero language, while limited in its vocabulary for most areas, contains more than 1,000 words for the colors and markings of cattle. The Hereros were content to live in peace as long as their cattle were safe and well pastured, but became formidable warriors when their cattle were threatened. According to Robert Gordy, the newcomers, much taller and more fiercely warlike than the indigenous Khoisan people, were possessed of the fierceness that comes from basing one's way of life on a single source. Everything they valued, all wealth and personal happiness, had to do with cattle. Regarding the care and protection of their herds, the Herero showed themselves utterly merciless, and far more savage than the Khoisan had ever been. Because of their dominant ways and elegant bearing, the few Europeans who encountered Herero tribesmen in the early days regarded them as the region's natural aristocrats. By the time of the scramble for Africa, the area which was occupied by the Herero was known as Damaralon. The Nama were pastorals and traders and lived to the south of the Herero. 22 In 1883, Adolf Luderitz, a German merchant, purchased a stretch of coast near Luderitz Bay from the reigning chief. The terms of the purchase were fraudulent, but the German government nonetheless established a protectorate over it. At that time, it was the only overseas German territory deemed suitable for white settlement. Chief of the neighboring Herero, Maharero rose to power by uniting all the Herero, faced with repeated attacks by the Khoisan, a clan of the Koko under Hendrik Witbooi. He signed a protection treaty on the 21st of October 1885 with Imperial Germany's colonial governor Heinrich Ernst Göring, but did not cede the land of the Herero. This treaty was renounced in 1888 due to lack of German support against Witboi, but it was reinstated in 1890. The Herero leaders repeatedly complained about violation of this treaty, as Herero women and girls were raped by German soldiers, a crime that the German authorities were reluctant to punish. In 1890, Maharero's son, Samuel, signed a great deal of land over to the Germans in return for helping him to ascend.